Poland's military might and hopefully will. Welcome to the EPIA channel. This is the place where we aggregate European security news and try to keep it entertaining. Today I will be reading a report by the Center for European Policy Analysis, or CEPA. This report in particular is written by Cordelia Ponczek. It is one thing to announce a huge expansion of the armed forces, and another thing to make it happen. Polish Deputy Prime Minister Jarosław Kaczyński late last year introduced a homeland defense bill to more than double the number of Polish service personnel from the current 1,100,000 to 250,000, plus 50,000 reservists. If this goal is reached, this would give Poland one of the largest armed forces in Europe, with only France, Greece, Italy and Turkey topping that number. The proposal also creates a new military branch, the Cyber Defense Force, and this force includes provisions for the Polish military to purchase high-capability defense equipment made in the United States and in Europe. In one sense, the announcement was unsurprising. Central Europe has been a dangerous place historically, and Poland's neighbors have more than once wiped it from the map. In recent years, the increasingly worrying behavior of the old enemy, Russia, has made clear to most politicians that the threat is real. Indeed, the 2017 decision to raise defense expenditure to at least 2.5% of the gross domestic product by 2030, which is, by the way, well above NATO's target of 2%, was supported across much of the political spectrum. The plan allowed for the purchase of advanced kit, including 32 F-35 combat aircraft, Patriot missile systems, new submarines, and frigates for the Baltic Sea, plus the personnel to crew them. The new expenditure commitment came from Polish Defense Minister Mariusz Błaszczak in late October. He stated that a special financial vehicle, the Armed Forces Support Fund, would finance the expansion, with money furnished through government-secured bonds. This funding system is outside of normal budgetary funding processes and has been criticized by the National Auditor as lacking transparency. It was initially used to combat the economic fallout from the COVID pandemic. Bonds are issued by the Polish National Development Bank, as well as the State Fund. Both were secured by the state. The coronavirus produced a clear and urgent crisis, language that the Armed Forces Bill supporters want to adopt, but which opposition says is overhyped and unnecessary. World Bank data shows that Poland's military expenditure is at 2.22% of GDP, is now higher than it has been since 1994, when the country was paring back its Warsaw Pact-era forces. That puts it in the small and exclusive European NATO 2% club. Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Romania, France, and the UK are also members of those who reached the goal of 2%. Poland may not be one of the big three European defense powers, which are France, Germany, and the UK, but it is rising, and its expenditure and determination to take the issue seriously is unarguable. Not only is Poland raising defense spending as a share of government outlays, but the country's economy has grown sixfold since 1990. As Poland's economy expands, even a static GDP commitment buys more. That answers at least one of the questions raised by the government's ambitious plans. Are they affordable? The response would appear to be a cautious yes. The question as to whether the spending is needed has been answered by many polls, by history, and by Russia's menacing president. National security is not a game for Poland. On the same credit side of the ledger, it's also worth noting that Poland is setting a good example to older NATO members like Belgium, whose share is only 1.1%, Germany 1.4%, and Italy only 1.6% of their GDP being spent towards NATO. There are other issues to confront, like political opposition. Although non-governmental parties supported the 2017 increase, the opposition, of course, has been more critical this time. While the peace coalition has a slight advantage over the opposition has a slight majority over the peace coalition in the Senate. Critics say that not only is the bill financially ill-considered, but that peace purged the Polish military of many high-ranking officers and slowed the modernization of the armed forces. After all, it is one thing to have a growing budget and another one to spend it wisely. Poland has much to consider. Russian forces have spent much of the past year amassing close to Ukraine. The failures of the Belarusian dictatorship have drawn it even closer to the Kremlin, and to the possible permanent deployment of Russian forces on Poland's border. And the Lukashenko regime's use of developing world migrants has exposed the country to hybrid warfare. Kaczyński quoted the old Roman adage when recommending the government's plans, quote, "If you want peace, prepare for war," end quote, and then added a more modern rider, "It is better to be safe and a little bit more in debt." So that's it for the report. If you'd like to stay updated with security news in Europe, be sure to follow me on Twitter. Also, we have an Instagram account. Thanks for watching this video. I hope you found it informative. Subscribe to the channel if you have not yet and give this video a like, it'll help me a lot. Thanks again and take care.